the B Plus Wrestling Podcast.
The Moose.
You might not be an A, but you are a B plus.
Check it out! Here we go! You wanna mess with us? 'Cause we're steady on the ground, steady on the ground. You wanna mess with us? 'Cause we're steady on the ground.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen out there in the B Plus land. It is me, it is I, the one they call Mr Myster1ous, and this is the Impact Zone. I am flying solo for this cast, guys. Unfortunately, Greg Unchained would love to make it, but he is watching this little thing that we call Double or Nothing. I don't think you guys have heard of it. It's a small little company by this some guy used to be in WWE, like Cody, I think it is, and the Young Bucks. And anyways, guys, it's a very jam-packed week of wrestling, and unfortunately, we need to delegate different promotions accordingly. So I am going to be covering the Impact Zone this taping and last week because it's been a hectic couple weeks in Australian wrestling. I'm not going to lie. It's been hard for all of us to keep up here. So I'm going to be covering the May 17th taping of Impact Wrestling and the latest taping of Impact Wrestling for you guys. So we got a double dose of Impact Wrestling for you just to help you get through and keep you up to date on what's happening in the land of Impact. Because, boy howdy, there is a lot to get through here. And not just because we've got double dose of Impact Wrestling, but just the content going forward. They've got a lot of stuff planned, I'm not going to lie. So I'll get right into it, guys. So we'll start with the May 17th taping. So Impact Wrestling is from the legendary 2300 Arena, the former ECW Arena in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. And we opened with a big knockout battle royal. So this was a 10 knockouts. So you had Jordynne Grace, Madison Rayne, Kiera Hogan, Scarlett Bordeaux, Tessa Blanchard, Alicia Edwards, Carissa Rivera, Solo Darling, Tasha Steelz, and Ashley Vox complete in knockouts battle royal. So there's your 10 knockouts right there. But before the match begun, Glenn Gilberti made his return to Impact Wrestling to continue to disrespect the knockouts division and women's wrestling in general. He said the only way that people would actually enjoy this battle royal is if all the women were in their bra and panties. The women beat him senseless and kicked him out of the ring, and he stayed on commentary throughout the entire battle royal. I thought we were done with Glenn Gilberti, and it was alright, I won't say it was a great way to help Scarlett go on her way in intergender wrestling, because she's kind of taken a pause on that for now. She's more the manager for Fala Bar. So it was a good stepping stone. It wasn't the best way they could have done it, but it gives Glenn something to do, it gives Scarlett a little bit of substance, and it slowly gets them in that realm of intergender wrestling. It was fine for that. But I did not appreciate the fact that he is back again making fun of women's wrestling. And if they're looking for heat, they've got it, because he's really, like, I can see now, I have the nice, the hindsight, the foresight from the next week's taping to kind of see where they're going with this. So based on this first taping, when I first saw this, I messaged Greg Unchained and I just said to him, oh no, because it felt like we had backtracked so much from what had gone on previously. And the Knockouts division does not need Glenn Gilberti. And yeah, so I'll go through what's happened. So, like, Madison Rayne, she was on fire through early going in the match. She hit Grace with a crucifix bomb, followed by a tornado DDT. Tessa eliminated Rivera and Fox. We had a couple, so you notice a couple different names on here. I'm pretty sure that these lovely ladies are from OVW to fill up the ranks. So, and I'm sure we'll see more of them going forward, which, again, that OVW Impact deal that's coming forward, especially with the rotating door of wrestlers, which, yeah, they need to rely on that as much as they can. So all these ladies get eliminated. We get down to Tessa and Jordynne Grace. They battle on the apron. You have Kiera Hogan in the ring. I believe they're the last three, right? So Taya Valkyrie comes to the ringside, attacks Madison Rayne. The other knockouts throw her over the rope, top rope for elimination. On commentary, Glenn Gilberti reveals that since he was in the ring when the bell rung, he's officially in this match. And yeah, just, I could see it happening, and I was like, please no, but Okay, so we continue on. Kira and Tessa battle in the apron. Tessa got the upper hand and eliminated her. Tessa thinks she's won. She's won this knockouts battle royal, this 10 knockout battle royal. There were 10 knockouts in here, but Glenn Gilberti hits her with a clothesline from behind, gets the elimination. Glenn Gilberti has won the knockouts battle royal. Impact Wrestling, they know how to incite a lot of emotions in you. I feel like that's the trick. They know exactly how to tick you off, how to. I feel like they have their finger on the pulse here, because again, I'm going to talk with this more about next week's taping. But yeah, when I first saw this, I was pissed off. Just not again. Get away from women's wrestling, Disco Inferno. But yeah, so that was a very bizarre way to open Impact Wrestling, but we weren't done yet. We saw footage of a parking lot brawl backstage between Michael Elgin and Willie Mack from last week. X-Division champion Rick Swann, he confronted Michael Elgin about his friend. He's saying hey, you talking about my friend? And they just instantly start brawling until security breaks them up. And that is our main event for later on, Willie Mack versus Michael Elgin. The next match we had was Su Yung versus Rosemary in a Demon Collar match. I was very curious, very confused what exactly this would be. So what it was, they had the steel chain. It's like a steel chain wrapped around both their necks. So it was a collar, like they said, like they imply. But the way they made it sound like that someone else was going to be tied up, or they're going to be tied to the ring ropes. I had the bull rope match between Eddie Guerrero and JBL in mind, as a kind of rough idea of what exactly this could be. But it was definitely not what I thought, and I actually enjoyed this. It gave Sue and Rosemary a lot to work with. There were a lot of choke spots, a lot of hanging spots off the top of the ropes and through the steel steps. They did a lot with what they had, and it surprisingly allowed for a lot of creativity. We had a double miss spot. Sue spewed out the red mist at Rosemary. She ducked. Sue instead locked in a mandible claw with her bloody glove. The Undead Bride at her finest. Sue jumped on the top rope, but Rosemary hit her with her green mist in midair, followed by a spear. Rosemary connected with a modified F5 with the steel chain. 1, 2, 3. Rosemary has won this Demon Collar match, and afterwards, she's not done stealing people. The Hive likes pets. She has boundary issues here. So after the match, Rosemary chains up Su Yung, takes her as her prisoner, and just casually abducts Su Yung, casually abducts the Undead Bride. So she couldn't have the maid of honor, and now she has the Undead Bride herself, Su Yung. It's weird how we go from this, and it feels like at some point they need to conclude the dark, because we've got two different Impact knockout storylines going on. We've got the other knockouts doing their thing, and you've got Rosemary, Su Yung, the Undead Maid of Honor, the Undead Bridesmaids, all of that. Kira Hogan, she's kind of floating in there. So eventually they're going to connect. Eventually they're going to do something different. But at the moment, it's just, they're keeping these elements. I don't know how much longer they're going to be able to keep it up, but hopefully it will make sense. Impact Wrestling, please. I should let you guys know now, I actually got my top fan badge for Impact Wrestling just a few days ago. I nearly spat out my drink. Very special thank you to Impact Wrestling for giving me that distinct honor. I hope to maintain that for you guys. And so at the end of the day, we are fans of Impact Wrestling, despite how they make us feel. If you want to hear Greg and I's epiphany from last time we did the Impact Zone, please do so. I listened back to it. It was very therapeutic, if nothing else. So we'll continue on. We cut to backstage. Madison Rayne is telling Melissa Santos she's got a Knockouts Championship match against Taya Valkyrie next week, which I'll be talking about later on. So it's the same promo. I've beaten her twice. I'm going to beat her again. It's just, she's beaten her 3 times now. Queen Bee, she's just Yeah, it's the same promo with Madison Rayne over and over. I'm hoping that when she's on to her next feud, her next storyline, just less of the queen beeness and like maybe a bit more creativity there. That's all I'm asking. Madman Fulton was in action with Sammy Callahan up against Randy Shawn. Who is Randy Shawn? He is part of the thing that we call the Job Squad, because this was just to remind everyone, if the last time you saw the May 10th tapings of Impact Wrestling after the OVE Rules 4 and 4 match, just to remind you guys that Madman Fulton is an absolute maniac and he can just throw you around without little effort. And it's a nice. It was more to show the dynamic between Madman Fulton and Sammy Callahan. It's like he listens only to Sammy. Like Sammy can drag him by the hair, he can do whatever he wants to him, and he's not even listening to the ref. Really, it's to make him seem like unstoppable monster, big boy. Like, and they're doing a great job. So it wasn't until like the Randy Shawn was just hammering away at Madman, and it wasn't until kind of Sammy kind of pointed at him, and Madman just slowly turned his head and started going on the offensive. Slowly turning his head, going on the offensive, and then just Fulton hit multiple choke slams, followed by a swinging slam to pick up a very, very dominant victory. If there was any doubt that they have that much invested in Madman Fulton, invested in OVE, there's your absolute proof there. Dr. Errol is providing an update on the world champion Brian Cage. Errol says that his Brian Cage suffered a very serious spinal injury and his return date is unknown. Nothing we don't already know. And they're leaving a bit of doubt about what's happening. And they're leaving a bit of doubt about what's going on. So, like, Michael Elgin, he's kind of running with this, the fact that Brian Cage is injured. So, it gives more power to Michael Elgin. So that his goal now is to send people to the hospital. Not just, like, doesn't matter who they are, who they're facing, like, whether they kind of agree with him. He wants to send everybody to the hospital. That's his storyline that he's running with, which is very smart. And it leaves everything uncertain for when Brian Cage will come back. Slammiversary. Hopefully, Slammiversary. He hasn't relinquished the title yet, so they give him every opportunity under the sun to recover. So I feel like if it was a very serious injury, they would have relinquished the title off him by now. They haven't, so I'm looking forward to it eventually. So we're going to just slowly build up Michael Elgin more, and we're going to have this big clash that we probably would have had with Killer Cross, to be fair, but we'll touch on him in a second. So yeah, I'm really happy they're going to keep doing these updates. Eventually, we're going to probably get like closer to the Slammiversary, like, oh, there's a chance that he might be able to return, and then we'll see what happens there. Next match, Crazy versus Psycho. Who is who? I'll let you guys be the judge. Killer Cross versus Eddie Edwards. This was a fun match. I've been like, Killer Cross is my favorite part of Impact Wrestling. Like, Sammy Callahan is the draw. He is the guy that they are relying on so much for OVE and everything else. But Killer Cross, man, he's got everything, and he makes this a hard-hitting contest. Like, Eddie Edwards is flying around the ring. He's trying everything at Killer Cross, but just, like, Eddie connect with a huge top Hurricanrana. He got a 1 count before Killer Cross came out and just, like, proved that he is the anti-machine. He is the supervillain. He is all that and more. I mean, Eddie, it wasn't a squash. I will say that. Eddie hit a Tiger Driver for a very close near fall. Eddie, for the most of the match, was in total control here. Cross avoided a Shining Wizard and threw Eddie to the outside. A lot of brawling all around the ring. I absolutely loved it. It was a nice change of pace to what we'd seen before, because we saw the weird knockouts match, that weird Demon Collar match, the squash match for Madman Fulton, and then we're kind of back into the pace of it. So we have Killer Cross versus Eddie Edwards. Eddie found Kenny, so Killer Cross, it wasn't really much of a secret. He came out with Kenny, he put it under the ring, and then Eddie Edwards kind of realized, like, oh shit, there's Kenny. And it was unfortunately a regular match, so he could not use Kenny as much as he would have liked to. So he got a hold of Kenny. He kind of got a little bit excited holding his piece of wood. You can insert all your innuendos here. And he tried to use Kenny. The referee stopped him. And in the confusion of trying to use Kenny to attack Killer Cross, it allowed Cross to hit the Doomsday Saito Slam score the victory. Killer Cross is the victor, but he ain't done yet. So afterwards, it looked like Killer Cross, in his own way, wanted to help cure Eddie Edwards of his delusions about Kenneth, as Killer Cross would say. So after the match, Cross continued the attack on Eddie, zip-tied him to the ropes, and it looked like he was going to beat up Eddie with Kenny. And you can kind of see, like, there was a moment there where Eddie Edwards kind of was just saying, do it, hit me, hit me, hit me. Like, I'm shades of the Dark Knight here. And Killer Cross kind of just looked at him, he cocked his head, and he realized, like, oh, I don't need to attack you with Kenny, I just need to break Kenny. And he pretends to hit him, then just snaps Kenny over his knee. And yeah, the look of guilt and frustration and just agony on Eddie Edwards' face, oh, it's personal. So it had to be done. Eddie, damn it, it's a freaking kendo stick. Man, I can feel sorry for you to a point because I've seen the other tapings, but man, it's a kendo stick. Killer Cross is trying to help you in his very helpful way, in his very psychotic way. You be the judge. Like, agree with me that Kenny is just a kendo stick and nothing more, you know? But, alright, we won't touch on that until the next taping here. The Rascals, they have their upcoming Tag Team Championship opportunity against LAX. So, do you know what that means? Training montage! I love training montages, and it doesn't matter how stupid, how deranged they are, how bombastic they can get, how, like, realistic they are. I just love training montages. If you have the right song, the right level of comedy with a wrestling promotion, or with a wrestler, you can make a great make a great training montage. And boy, I love the Rascals one. Their first one. They did two over the past couple weeks. They try to do the Rocky steps. They can't do it. They take away all the smoke out from the clubhouse, and they want to try and get serious and stuff, but they're not really doing stuff properly, you know? Like, their workout regime it leaves much to be desired. So I'll let you guys look it up on Impact Wrestling's YouTube channel. It's the Rascals Get Serious About Training. Like, trust me, look it up. Backstage, Moose told the North not to worry about the tag team titles, but instead to focus on taking out Rob Van Dam. So last time we talked Impact, Rob Van Dam took out Ethan Page and Josh Alexander at ringside. He took them both out with ease in like 5 minutes without help, without even acknowledging Ethan Page. And we kind of had our thoughts about that, about how RVD is hopefully going to be a heel down the line to make sense of all this because of the way that he's come back to the scene of Impact Wrestling. And so Ethan Page is arguing with his tag team partner, and he's saying that, like, we should be focusing on RVD. We can focus on LAX later, right? And they embarrassed us. Like RVD embarrassed us. We need to focus on him first. And Moose, again, why is Moose involved in this storyline? I still don't get it. Like, he's just like, he casually inserts himself in this and saying, like, you guys should focus on RVD. And it's like, it didn't work last time. Well, you got me this time. Right? And it's like, he should be like, dude, you are not a part of the North. Go away. And this can kind of confuse me with the next taping, but yeah, Moose is just randomly inserting himself into other people's stories, and just like, dude, what the hell are you doing? Like, they don't know what to do with you. Like, we've stopped with the Rascals, and now he's trying to make something with RVD. He's got to attach himself to the next juicy storyline and try and make sense of it. I don't know. Very weird stuff there. Hopefully it pays off down the line. The main event of this taping. Oh, it was good. Oh, I needed this last week when I saw this. It was the exact match I needed to see. Non-title. Rich Swann versus Michael Elgin. And, like, we talked about this. Like, Michael Elgin can be a great mirror for the opponent that he's with. And at the moment, he's trying to be this dominant powerhouse who can put everyone in the hospital. He's saying, like, He put Brian Cage in the hospital. He put Pentagon Jr. in the hospital. He put Willie Mack in the hospital. So that he kind of implied that Pentagon Jr. and the Lucha Brothers might be slowly not appearing in Impact Wrestling anymore. Otherwise, it's going to get a bit weird. But I'm focusing on this main event. This was one of the best main events in Impact Wrestling I have seen in months. Like, actual months. And Rich Swann, like, he's a weird character in MLW, but in Impact Wrestling, man, he is a beast. He is incredible. Like, Swann jumped off the top rope, cut off midair by a big dropkick from Elgin. Elgin attempted an Elgin bomb, but Swann countered with a DDT. Like, multiple dives over the top rope, combinated with a Swanton. Elgin hit a Blue Thunder bomb, but Swann kicked out just in time. There was a top rope elbow drop. There was, like, Elgin hit, like, a lot of sit-down power bombs. Swann hit a lot of reverse hurricanranas, followed by super kicks. Man, like, the combinations, the timing, the powering out, the struggle. This is one of the best Impact Wrestling main events I've seen, and it was a nice reward for this. Like, there wasn't anything too horrible. Like, they got the really bad thing from that week's episode with, like, Glenn Gilberti. They got that out of the way, and in all the weird confusion trying to crawl through all these other weird promos and trying to make sense of it all, we were rewarded with this match, and I absolutely loved it. So, as we move forward, Swann hit 2 reverse hurricanranas followed by a super kick I mentioned before. Elgin sent Swann flying back first into the steel ring post. The referee got in his face, right? So he kept hitting his he kept hitting his powerbomb, like pushing Rich Swann into the steel ring post. He did it twice, and then he's going to do it for a third time. The referee got in his face, causing Elgin to push him down to the ground, and then hit it a third time. The referee called for the bell, disqualifying Elgin. Winner of the match by DQ, Rich Swann. Michael Elgin was going to chase down the referee, but the referee just like, screw this, I'm out of here. He just vanished straight away. After the match, Elgin's about to continue the attack on Rich Swann, but Willie Mack made the save. He's not in hospital. Dude, if you say you're going to take someone to the hospital, make sure they stay in hospital to make yourself seem like more of a beast. But it didn't matter because Michael Elgin capitalized on this entire situation. Out of the blue, though, who would help Michael Elgin but Johnny Impact? He attacked Willie from behind. Impact took out both Willie and Swann with kicks before staring down Michael Elgin to end the show. I was worried that there was going to be like a weird alliance between these two. And it's like, it seemed very out of character because they're both trying to, like, no, I hurt Brian Cage. No, I hurt Brian Cage. I put him to the hospital. No, I put him to the hospital. They had their big swinging contest. It was a very weird alliance, so I wasn't too sure where it was going to go. So I'm kind of glad that I'm reviewing Impact Wrestling the way I have, so I can actually talk to you guys about what's happened. So it's given me a great perspective on these past couple weeks, right? So overall, with that episode of Impact, I think it's one of the higher ones, and it feels like Impact Wrestling, they've got their eyes set on the prize, and the prize is Slammiversary. They know what they need to do to get to that point, and it feels like they've kind of got this shit together for now. All right. I want to believe in you, Impact Wrestling, because I know, like, most of the time these things pay off, but you guys make us nervous, you guys make us uncertain, and I don't know. I'm hoping and praying that it all makes sense. So let's move to the latest week's taping of Impact Wrestling, right? So we opened up with very interesting match, Sami Callihan versus Fallah Bahh. Holy crap. Where has this Fallah Bahh been? And can he stay around, please? Like, forever? Because we're used to the big opening match to start off Impact Wrestling, this big spectacle match. And this match was out to prove that Fallah Bahh is an absolute beast. I mean, he can be the comedy panda. He can be the no, bah, bah. He can be all that. But when he is pissed off, he can take everyone down. And this proved that. So, throughout this entire match, I was surprised at the pace because, like, constantly, Falabar is taking, like, Sami Callihan for every chop, for every time he tried to get vicious. Like, he cut open Falabar's mouth at some point, right? He attacks Falabar's exposed feet because, like, he doesn't wear ring boots, which is a big mistake around Sami Callihan. But for everything that Sami did, Falabar had an answer, and he answered twice as hard, twice as aggressive, pulling out so much more offense than we've seen from him. I mean, if this is the route they're going for, where they've kind of stopping now with him being a tag team wrestler for now, that this might be slowly starting to invest a bit more time in him as a big powerhouse. And, like, it would be a nice distraction storyline with your other big powerhouses that you have, like Michael Elgin, like Killer Cross. We can see what happens there. But I love this. Like, going from, so we went from last week's big main event to this week's big opening match. So I was loving this from start to finish, right? So these guys exchanged strikes in the middle of the ring. Fowler got the upper hand with a big belly-to-belly suplex, right? During the end of the match, the Chris brothers come around. Fowler hit a Samoan drop when Jake and Dave came to ringside. They wanted to try and fight with Scarlett, but fair play. Smoke Show did not back down when she realized that both of them were there. She slapped one of them, she attacked the other, and when they were trying to be like, oh, let's pick on the woman, they went for a super kick, they missed, they hit each other. She hit a freaking senton off the apron. Just casually, she was fired up, and she was going to attack Sami as well, right? Fala slammed Callahan to the mat. He almost had the victory. Like, I believed for a split second there that he was going to get the victory, right? Scarlett held open the middle rope, allowing Fala to his big suicide dive. It had to happen at some point. Like, we were talking about how everyone's getting a suicide dive these days, but it was just the one in this match. I liked it, okay? Less is more sometimes in a lot of wrestling matches, as I'm sure many people will agree. So after Scarlett held the ring rope open, Callahan regained enough advantage, so he just powered out, and he connected a cactus spike pile driver because he can't lift Fowler bar without some assistance, so he had to use the ring ropes. Callahan put his feet on the top ropes as well for extra leverage, so Callahan got the win, but it wasn't a clean victory, and it showed exactly why Fowler bar can be an absolute beast of a wrestler. Fantastic opening match. I was immediately hooked into this week's episode of Impact, loving it from start to finish. OVE, like Sami Callihan, being sick bastard as a heel as always, spit at Scarlett Bordeaux. We might see some more of Fowler going up against OVE going forward. Like, I don't know if he's targeting her. Like, maybe we might see Scarlett versus Sami. I mean, it's a very different contrast. Like, I mean, like, they're freaking, like, OVE, these violent sociopath, like, hardcore guys. But I'm very confused if they're going to keep that storyline with these two. I don't know. I don't want Scarlett to be, derailed by the storyline and be like the defenseless woman in the face of these hardcore wrestlers. I don't want that to happen. Not just yet, anyways. We'll see more of her intergender journey going forward. So backstage, Johnny Impact revealed why he helped Michael Elgin last week, and he said it's pretty simple, Melissa. Melissa doesn't understand the question. Like, he's going and saying, being on the bully. Like, so he's coming after Rich Swann. He's coming after the X Division Championship, and he's saying how, like, the reason I helped that meathead Elgin, who was behind him, of course, because timing, is because he wants to put everyone in the hospital, and he wants to put Willie Mack in the hospital. It means that he can go and get the X Division title. I told you, Greg. I told you. He's got his eye on the X Division title, and then once he gets that, we have the husband-wife champions again. It's gonna happen at some point. So, like, Johnny Impact's kind of realized that Michael Elgin is the next number one contender, and he's kind of taking a back foot, right? At the moment, from the world title picture, he could come back eventually, but I think he's the next champion. I think it's going to happen. They want to keep that husband-wife dynamic going. I can see it happening, right? But yeah, so Michael Elgin, he heard all the shit that Johnny Impact was saying, and he's saying, yeah, you're right. I do want to send Willie Mack to the hospital. I do want to send Rich Swann to the hospital. Do you know what? I want to send everyone to hospital, big guy. And whacks him on the arm. It's like, stiff, man, stiff. So, yeah, Michael Elgin is out for himself. There's no aligning with him. He is just a one-man wrecking crew. Looking forward to how this keeps going. Next match we had for the Knockouts Championship, Taya Valkyrie versus Madison Rayne. So we have the proper match that we should have had from a couple weeks ago. But, of course, Taya getting title shots and defending her title her way, this is finally what happened here. So Taya immediately goes on the retreat. Madison chased her down and connected with the spear. Madison hit a crossbody for a 2 count in the early goings of the match. Taya suckered Madison on the outside, allowing her to gain control of the matchup, right? Taya wore down Madison by locking in like a half Boston Crab. For the most part, like without much heelish tactics, Taya was doing very well. Like, how is this? Like, she was. Greg talked about this a couple weeks ago, and I agree now. Like, when she was pretending to be a face, she would use heelish tactics to win. And now that she's admitting that she's a heel, she's just winning without any dirty tricks. But why? Like, what? Like you could argue, okay, so what happened with this one? So Madison attempted a reverse DDT, but Taya grabbed the referee's legs to get out of it. So she reversed out and allowed Taya to connect with the Road to Valhalla. I wouldn't call that cheating. I would call that like awareness. I would call that smarts, because it didn't seem like a underhanded trick. It seemed like spur of the moment, very natural thing. Like, it's like, especially watching it, it didn't seem underhanded. It just seemed like Taya took full advantage of the situation, and she picks up the win. She retains her title. So Taya Loca, yeah, Madison Rayne. We kind of figured that Madison Rayne wasn't going to get the title, at least not yet in this run. So she's going to focus on hopefully like helping one of the up and coming OVW wrestlers. I'm hoping that would be the best thing for her, so she can take a little back step away from the Knockouts title picture, so that some of the up and coming women's wrestlers like Jordan Grace or Tessa Blanchard, hint Impact Wrestling, yeah, hopefully it feels like they kind of know what's going on here.
Promotional consideration paid for by the following.
Hey guys, just a reminder, if you want to hear all of these wonderful B Plus podcast episodes completely ad-free, make sure you head over to Patreon or Podbean, where we are the featured podcast this week. You can subscribe for as little as $1 a month up to $10 a month, where anything you want to help us with, it really helps out. It's going to help us grow the site. It's going to help us redesign some things, and everything that we get through this and through the advertising as well is all going straight back into the podcast so that we can get Aussie Graps out there for the rest of the world to hear about, for the rest of the world to see, so we can grow this mission of watch global, support local, and build indie wrestling. So if you want to be a part of that and get some really cool rewards like call-in shows, bonus episodes, ad-free like I mentioned, then head over to patreon.com/theb+ and subscribe today. Hey everyone, just want to take a second to tell you about one of our new sponsors, OUTBREAK NUTRITION. OUTBREAK NUTRITION are creating supplements for survival, sharper minds, quicker reflexes, all the energy you need to take your performance to the next level, whether that be on the field, in the gym, on the gaming field. That's right, they have specifically designed gaming supplements as well to help you focus on those late night sessions. They even sell coffee, you guys, at OUTBREAK NUTRITION. You can get coffee pods, you can get coffee beans, you can get supplements for the bedroom as well if you want to enhance your performance there. These are performance enhancing supplements for every aspect of your life, specifically designed by gamers, for gamers, to stay fit and healthy in the gym, to stay sharp and focused on the game. and to dominate in all areas of life. So check out OUTBREAKNutrition.com, and for being a listener of our podcast, they will give you 10% off your order when you enter the code B+. That is BPLUS at checkout. So make sure, if you want to stay on top of your game, if you want to take your performance to the next level, OUTBREAKNutrition.com, enter the code B+ at checkout.
All right, so after the match, we see Rosemary. So I should say, after the match, I should say, though, we do have an idea about who the next contender is, because Taya wasn't able to celebrate for long, because after the match, out came Rosemary with her prisoner. The undead bride, Su Yung, came to the ring, like she tied her up to the ring post, casually like, you stay there, good girl, you stay there. Made it clear, like she licked her hand and put it over the Knockouts title, saying, this is mine now, I'm marking my territory, making it very clear that she wants Taya Loca. I hope that Rosemary wins this. I think it would be, I want her to get out of the dark storylines. I don't think it's going to happen. I would like it to happen. We can kind of blend the two storylines if they really want to. But we don't know what's going on with her father, with the Undead Realm. Personally, I just want to take a back seat from the Undead Realm stuff. I just want her to focus on the Knockouts division proper. It's a tough line. It's a very tough line for them to draw. But at the very least, all I'm going to say is Rosemary, very worthy contender to Taya. Very different. Like, she's technically faced her before at United We Stand, but not really. There wasn't really much to that match at United We Stand, to be fair. So I'm looking forward to see what these two have in store in singles competition. When she came back with her prisoner, Rosemary was confronted by Father James Mitchell. He's holding a freaking water bottle. This is one of the weirdest backstage segments, like trying to keep a straight face with all this supernatural elements going on. So he's casually drinking his water, and he's saying, like, I consider you like a daughter to me, like you helped out Abyss, like you were with Decay, my son Abyss, and, I'm fond of you. So I ask you nicely that you have you have this weird thing now where you want to steal undead brides, undead maid of honor, and everything else. Can you give Sue back to me, please? Like, Sue's kind of reaching out for Father James, like, like, it's so weird. But, so yeah, he wanted Su Yung back in his possession, but Rosemary says no. She says that it's the dress that she killed in, and it's the dress she'll die in. Just keeping it dark, and just like, I would believe this more if Father James Mitchell just kept that freaking water bottle out of his hands, made it seem like he was more focused on getting Su Yung back, bringing her back to the fold. Call me crazy, you freaking weirdo, but Impact. Logic gets thrown out the window. Like, if Game of Thrones has a water bottle in the finale, so can Impact Wrestling, damn it. Oh, highs and lows, ladies and gentlemen, highs and lows. We have Eddie Edwards. He cut a promo about Killer Cross's actions from the last week's show, destroying his best friend Kenny the Kendo Stick. So Eddie admitted that I know that Kenny's a Kendo Stick. I know he's not real, right? But he's saying, like, when shit in my life was down, Kenny was there for me, man. He's like, when my wife left me, Kenny was there. Like, when Moose betrayed me, Kenny was there. And I half expected him to say Eli Drake as well. When Eli Drake betrayed me, Kenny was there. But no. And he's like, he's holding the remains of Kenny as he's talking. And he's saying that Killer Cross has made this personal. I want to see them absolutely demolish each other. I don't think Eddie's going to win. Like, it was a very heartfelt promo. I did like it. Just like, I've had a lot of ups and downs in my career, but you know what, Killer Cross, you deserve everything that's coming to you. You've made this personal. And I like the storyline going forward. So yeah, I don't see Eddie winning this. I don't see Eddie winning this, but yeah, you've got me invested, and I want to see more of Killer Cross finding new ways to punish Eddie. What more can he do, ladies and gentlemen? What more can he do? We'll find out very soon. It might lead up to Slammiversary, but yeah, we'll see what happens. We cut to the Rascals cutting a promo. They have another training montage. Yes! But this one's a proper serious one, So at first, they're like, there's no smoke in the clubhouse. They've taken away the they've taken away the walls and everything else. They're just like, they're sitting there moping, like training was too difficult. They're just like, they're bickering with each other, just like, I've got an idea. There's smoke in there again, from what I imagine. And they're just like, let's train, let's train. Woo! I'm feeling ready. I've got energized. Let's do it. And they commenced actual training. So last week was the funny shit. This time was the serious high level training. They just needed a little bit of, as RVD would say, medicine to help them going. And like they did a lot of impressive stuff. They did the Rocky steps. I think they did the Rocky steps this time. I couldn't see the statue. But yeah, so the Rascals are ready to face off against LAX. Call me crazy. Like, I know that LAX have just won the tag titles, but with Santana's injury, I feel like they could do it. I feel like the Rascals could actually win this. I mean, it would be very weird. I don't know how long they'd hold it for, but I don't know. Part of me believes in them now, like just with the way that Impact Wrestling is, the way that LAX are with Santana. Hopefully, I feel like he's going to be back in the next couple of weeks after being out with a leg injury. So if they keep the titles on LAX, I'm not sure who else they could feud with, like especially after this next match I'm going to talk about. So we had the tag team championship match between LAX going up against the North. This confused me. Like from last week where the North even said we should not be focusing on LAX, we should be focusing on RVD, right? Like Moose was telling them, saying, you guys are going to eventually become the tag team champions at some point. So for right now, focus on RVD. For this, I agree with you, Moose, from your bizarre thing, right? Like to focus on this RVD storyline. So I thought that the next match was going to be like a handicap match with the North going up against RVD. But no, that it we just got the tag match. We should have been building to this. The North, and this should have meant more. This should mean more, right? It was a great match. It was a solid match between both teams. And like if Moose is so invested in helping out the North, he wasn't even there at ringside. This one confused me, right? Right off the bat, I'm telling you right now. So LAX got into a flurry of double tag team offense like they do in the early stages, right? The North were in control. Like Santana attempted to dive for the ropes, but Page caught him and slammed him in midair. Right, the North were in control until Ortiz connected a power slam on Page to build momentum. Right, Alexander hit a top rope knee drop on Santana for a near fall. For a good portion, like the technical wrestling, the North were just crushing it. Like Josh Alexander, the living weapon. Like the North hit Ortiz with a modified double team neutralizer. Like they've got a few. They're friggin' good as a tag team. Like this is really weird. Like why they've got this opportunity. They're very capable. Like if you wanted to test their mantle, you could have made it a non-title match and kind of furthered that along and balanced these two storylines. The one with LAX, the one with RVD, right? But nope. So this is for a title. So we go, yeah, Santana hit the rolling cutter. So with all the confusion, right, he hit the rolling cutter, followed by more of the super kicks and the flips and the moonsaults and everything else. Double team offense that LAX does so well to pick up the win. They have retained their titles against the North. Why? It's made no sense to me. If they save this for another couple weeks, just maybe, like, because the North have had like a couple matches, right, as a tag team. They have not been on the tag team roster long enough to so all of a sudden like, oh, we're gonna have a match against LAX. Like, you need to build to this. Like, at the moment, there's not many tag teams that are being built as a credible threat for LAX. And you need that. I'm trying to read the signs here about who can face off against them, but for the life of me, if you're spending all your time on the North, it's a very weird situation. I don't feel like they got an understanding about it just yet. I mean, they're building the Dieners, and they are far from ready to face off against LAX, right? So I'm hoping that it's the Rascals to make sense of this, and then that would give the North a chance to like take the titles off them. I can realistically see them take the titles off the Rascals, not LAX, because of this weird booking that they've done. And if they're going to continue their storylines with Rob Van Dam and the ECW guys, which I'll get to that in a minute. So we return to Glenn Gilberti, knockout women wrestling extraordinaire. He is facing off against Ashley Vox, who was in the Knockouts Rumble last week. And so he's wrestling in this exhibition match while also commentating with a microphone. Right? He's just being an absolute prick, and like I can see what's happening here. So at the moment, so this is just to give Tessa a storyline to keep her away from. So Rosemary is going after Taya, so that leaves Tessa. It gives her a bit of a break. So who is she going to do? Who's she going to face off against? Glenn Gilberti, just casually. So it makes me think that Taya's going to retain against Rosemary, and then Tessa's going to come back and win her title back, hoping, praying, it's all going to add up, it's all going to pay off at Slammiversary. I can see it in my mind, guys. Call me crazy, but that's just how I feel. Ashley did fight back throughout the match, but Gilberti, like, he was being a prick, like, the entire time, like, using a lot of dirty tactics. Tessa came out, the undeniable Tessa. She saw enough, she hit the ring, and she was going to come to the aid of Ashley. Gilberti retreated to the back, saying the exhibition is done. Yeah, if they're going for this, so long as Tessa wins, I am happy, right? And you want to talk about heat? Like, freaking, like, Glenn Gilberti understands just how stupid, how inept he is with this women's wrestling character. So I'm hoping, right? It's good if it's just for this storyline with Tessa to get her something to do before she focuses on Taya for the Knockouts title. I get that. That is fine. But after this, Glenn Gilberti needs to stop focusing on women's wrestling. Because I was fine with Scarlett. I do not need to see this continue. I'm enjoying him being a prick. I am getting angry at the sight of him, which is what Impact Wrestling wants. It's what the whole point of wrestling is when you have a big heel like that. But seriously, I do not need Glenn Gilberti in the Knockouts picture at all. Like, they need to think of something better to do with him than focusing on the Knockouts. It doesn't matter how stupid it is. Like, have him fight the guys next time. So after this weird storyline with Tessa, like who's going to do a Scarlett, hoping they can just move forward. All right, so we have a X Division Fatal 4-Way match just cause. We have Rohit Raju versus Petey Williams versus Ace Austin versus Dez. Right? Just a big, fast-paced match. A lot more. You could focus on this one a lot more than the other, like the random 6-man matches that we've seen from these guys so far, like the random X Division matches that we've seen from all the competitors. Like when it's like 5 or 6 of them, you can't keep track. But this is a nice Fatal 4-Way. You could see what was happening. It showed everyone was actually very capable. Like Petey and Ace Austin, they still got their feud. Rohit Raju, surprisingly showing a lot more offense. Like, he showed he could very well be a contender for the X Division title. I never thought I would say that. The Desi Hit Squad, like, they're not gonna focus on him doing a singles act at all. Like, it very weird booking. Like, and of course, we had that promo with the Dieners. before this, so they're focusing on the Desi Hit Squad. So that's what's happening there. But yeah, give a little MVP award there to Rohit Raju, like, because surprisingly he like did really well in this match. So PD hit Ace with a Canadian Destroyer. He attempted another one on Dez, but Rohit broke it up with a double foot stomp off the top rope. Right? Dez hit Rohit with a modified handspring Pele kick. This was Three Ninjas shit right here. He just double backflipped Pele kick while Ace Austin and Petey Williams, they had done their thing before. They were on the outside. Like, Dez, surprisingly, like, randomly, like, Dez of the Rascals is winning this match. I mean, okay. Which, I don't get this. I don't get this at all. It should be a nice, like, it made sense for Petey and Ace, like, they might be continuing their storyline down the line. And they're just like, well, we gave the Desi Hit Squad the random tag team victory last time. Let's give Dez the win, right? Just cause Impact is so weird sometimes, guys. I'm not gonna lie. Why is it so weird? And yeah. Okay. The main event for this one. ECW Arena, 2300 Arena. Huge matchup between Tommy Dreamer and the whole effing show, Rob Van Dam. Okay, I get nostalgia. I get people remembering, knowing their wrestling history. 2300 Arena, ECW, two iconic figures from that era, right? And Tommy Dreamer was even saying, for the last time, which I hope is for the last time. I hope that. But I take umbrage to this whole thing because throughout this match, you heard chants of, you've still got it, and fight forever. I've seen bits of Double or Nothing where I've heard people say that chant, and they earned that chant at Double or Nothing with half the shit they did. All I saw in this match was two men in their late 40s just high-fiving the referee, high-fiving each other, doing a little bit of tussling, right? Doing a little bit of tussling with chairs. There was nothing spectacular about this match. And people are like, just the fact that these are two iconic wrestlers, we've said it before on Impact Zone, and it needs to be said, ECW needs to die. The Attitude Era needs to die. It feels like they're trying to kick that dead horse. They're not done kicking it, spoilers, but I'm hoping that they can just get out of this. Like, they want to give a nice send-off to ECW for the 12th time. I've lost track how many times they want to pay homage to ECW, but man, for a main event, after an amazing main event the week before with Michael Elgin and Rich Swann, we get this. This isn't an RVD in his prime pace match. This is a Tommy Dreamer pace match, and he is slow as balls, right? He is slow as balls. I'm telling you guys right now, right? The action spilled to the outside. RVD hit a running dropkick with a steel chair. He did a nice couple steel chair spots, but it was very slow. RVD didn't do nearly enough of his usual offense, like high flying, which I'm not even sure if he can do anymore now. Like, I'm gonna be honest with you. He wasn't sweating up a storm, thank God, but it was a very slower paced match, so thankfully he didn't need to. I mean, we saw the Rolling Thunder. We saw a couple other things. Like, he missed it the first time, from a steel chair. Dreamer hit a sick pile driver for the very close near fall. It was a very nice it was a very nice pile driver, I'll say that. But yeah, RVD hit the big 5-star frog splash. I'll say this though, I'll give RVD credit. He can still launch himself on that top rope because Tommy Dream was a good 3/4 away from the ring. So if nothing else, RVD can still leap like he used to, right? That he still has that, but the amount of he hasn't lost his flexibility, he hasn't lost his agility in terms of like high flying stuff from the top rope, but in terms of general ring work, you can tell how much he slowed down. And I'm hoping they can wrap this up neatly. I'm hoping that it can make sense, because for what it was, just a nice match between two friends from that era, it was okay. But for the people in that audience to say fight forever and this is awesome and everything else, no, it definitely wasn't. They did not earn that. And I get caught up in the moment, 2300 Arena, I get that. But watching it at home, man, it took a lot of shine off that moment. And we've seen it so many times before. So I'm hoping that they stay true to their word. And this is one last time ever. Because if it wasn't, it's only going to get worse from here, guys. I'm telling you right now, it's only going to get worse. After the match, right? So after RVD's picked up the win, the North and Moose hit the ring to attack RVD and Tommy Dreamer. Right? The Moose, they slowly... to attack RVD and Tommy Dreamer. The North are taking advantage throughout the most of it, and it looked like when RVD was slowly starting to gain advantage, Moose came out to attack them. This should have been a match. This should have been an actual match between the North and RVD, like I mentioned, but I'll tell you what we're going to see in a second. So when the 3-on-2 advantage was taking its toll on the ECW originals, the lights go out. There's no gong. But when the lights go back on, we see the suicidal, homicidal, death-defying Sabu. He comes out, and this made me laugh. He comes up with his wife, and he's just casually throwing steel chairs. He's just pushing them into the North and to Moose, right? His wife will throw a chair at him. He throws them at Ethan Page. He throws it at Josh Alexander. The timing made me laugh. It made me giggle. It was a nice little WTF moment there from this weird main event from ECW. Like, I'll admit, that was nice, right? So it seems like, okay, so we've got Sabu, we've got Dreamer, we've got RVD, probably going to take on the North and Moose in a couple weeks. Let the North and Moose win. For the love of God, let the North and Moose win this to make this make sense. Otherwise, RVD, to make sense of RVD's storyline, it needs to work. Even if it's underhanded, I don't care. It just needs to work like that. So that was Impact the last 2 weeks, guys. It's been a very, very weird couple of weeks with Impact Wrestling. It's been a very weird couple of weeks in the wrestling scene. Of course, I have my rundowns on all the rest of what's been happening so far in the weird, wacky world that we call professional wrestling. But that is all we have for you guys tonight for the Impact Zone. If you want to follow me on all the socials, I'm at Mr Mysterious with a 1 and 7 I. Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube. Hit me up. Let me know what you guys thought about the latest episode of Impact Wrestling. If you want to follow our fearless leader, Greg Unchained, he's at Greg Unchained on Instagram. He's at Greg Unchained on Twitter, at the Greg Unchained on Instagram. If you want to follow us collectively here at the B+, because we're an okay bunch, I like to think so. Let me know what you think. We are at the B+ Wrestle on Twitter because wrestling wouldn't fit, and the B+ Wrestling everywhere else. Remember, guys, we have our Patreon. Any amount you can donate would be greatly appreciated so we can keep giving you guys what you want, when you want, showing you guys the best of Australian wrestling and keeping you guys up to date about the international scene as well. Like, share, subscribe, hit that 5-star review. I've been Mr Mysterious. This has been the Impact Zone, and I'll see you later.